up on my YouTube channel.
I haven't got a live into my Facebook yet. Come on. We're waiting. If you're watching, we're still waiting for the tech to work, which
right? Yeah, I know.
Isn't working.
The big question is it working? Sorry, I'm trying to see if I'm showing up in YouTube. For some reason, I don't see it.
I'm not seeing it either. So it's definitely not live in my Facebook group. Should we
experience? Take a look. It says.
So it says it's
viewing on YouTube.
Oh, it has. Okay, let's just go live. Come on.
Yeah, this is kind of like the thing that's annoying about the way that it changed, because sometimes you see it, sometimes you don't, basically.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So it's definitely not streaming live into the Offer Accelerator Facebook group because I haven't been able to click live.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So it's definitely not. So I think maybe we just, if it's going live on your accounts, let's carry on. Otherwise, we're going to be here like everyone's like, get on with the tech. So frustrations, if you're watching this live, although I do have a computer science degree, actually, I can't work. The tech is not working for me. But welcome to the Offer Accelerator live that is live somewhere and not live somewhere else. And it's awesome to be here. My name is Laura Chattington. Now, how many of you want to know how to attract and accelerate the audience that you bring into your business, right? And how many of you want to do it in a non-sleazy, non-salesy, we're using those cold, nasty marketing tactics that we're kind of it's all put on us, and it's all put, it's constant, isn't it? Yes. So tonight, I am fortunate enough to be speaking to the Expert Audience Accelerator. And she is going to be sharing with us how to build a highly connected audience for our business, a highly connected audience for our business. Now, she takes I think it's quite a counterintuitive approach to building audiences that the usual internet marketing world is, where it's like, go out and find 20 gazillion people on the world because you need as many people as possible on everything you've got. And she takes a very counterintuitive approach to that, which I personally think is super, super refreshing. She is also known as the Queen of Dares, which really appealed to my personality. I think this is why I was like, I've got to connect with this woman. Can I welcome to the stage Stacey Lauren? Hey.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Yeah, so thanks for following us. I just posted in a bunch of different groups where we were. So I see Alan's here. Hey, Alan, good to see you.
We got lost, but we found you again.
Let us know if you're here, but I'm so excited. Yeah, I'm so excited to be doing this with you. We immediately connected. It's been so much fun just to be in your space. And it's so cool because you have the thing that I need and I have the thing you need, right? So we're like able to now just kind of like connect, right? And then we're able to help people because we have these like special forces with the things that we do, right? Like I don't teach offer creation, you're teaching offer creation, I'm helping build the audience. And so you're able to like,
right?
Cool.
I think when I saw you speaking in Houston, I was like, this is exactly the next step for the people that come through my business. It's like, we do offers and how to build high ticket offers. And then when you've got one, what do you do with it? You need an audience to communicate that with. And I think, as I said in the introduction, which the way that you did it is, I found it really refreshing. I've been kicking around the marketing world for a gazillion years, and everyone's like, you need to do this, you need to do this tactic, and you need this and this. And I was like, when I heard what you said, I was like, oh, okay, this is absolutely awesome for the type of business that I want to be running for myself, and I want to help people who I connect with run. So I'm going to get straight to the point and straight to what I was like, ooh, this is cool. What is different, Stacey, about how you approach building audiences to perhaps what is more traditional in most other people's approach? What is the solution that you have, and how does it work?
Yeah, I love this question. So I like to bring relationships back into business, and so it actually pains me, my part, my like just like spammy marketing. It kind of exhausts me. And so there's so many people that are going at it in like this, like I need all these people all the time, and they all have to respond to my message, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if we go to even what you're doing, where you're teaching people how to sell high ticket offers, what's great about that specifically is you don't need thousands of people.
Mm. No, and you don't even want to be servicing thousands of people, right? At
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, and so that's really what's different about what I'm teaching is I like to help kind of actually I posted it today on my page because I was excited about meeting, and I'm like, what's really the thing that like people need to understand is like you don't need to create content when you're having conversations. You're just literally able to talk to people, get to know them, and that is your content. And so
Yeah.
that's really what's different is just getting to know the people, building the relationships, and then just like coming alive from that.
I think, and I kind of like it connected with me because I think that sometimes we're so keen to do the deal, we're so keen to get the offer done and closed, but actually, if you step back from your business and you think, who do I actually want to be? Who do I want as clients? Who do I want to be servicing as clients? How many clients do I want to be servicing at the time? How do I want to add value to them? And actually thinking about it in from that perspective, and therefore, who do I want to attract to my business? And I don't necessarily want to attract everybody, but I also want people to connect with me and my message and actually being myself. And I know that we've kind of been through all your dares, doing your dares and things like that. But actually, I think one of the biggest takeaways that I found was the more, and it's funny because it resonated with me immediately because I had this same experience when I was learning how to public speak, is the more authentic you can be, the more real you can be, the more almost vulnerable you can be. That's how you attract people. That's how you engage with people. That's how you connect, isn't it? And you really had that sort of approach. And maybe you want to just talk a bit more about how you do that.
Yeah, so it's so cool. I'm so glad you brought this up because it's so hard sometimes to like show yourself, right? And everyone's like constantly trying to look at this person or that person or whoever, and then trying to emulate, them. And it's really trying to figure out who you are and like what you want. And so then that deepest part of you shows. And so that's where the people come. But here's the important piece. It's not just that. It's those people then come to you, but then all the people that are then attracted to you are like bonding together because you're all bonded from this really heart-centered place. So it's no longer like this one-way conversation anymore. Now you're like this community of people that's like banded together around this thing that you're wanting to either teach people, help people with the product you're wanting to create. And it becomes this energetic field that it becomes exponential.
It's magnetic, isn't it?
Yes.
That's the word I was using the other day. It's like people are like magnetized to you and your message, and which is why I found how you do what you do. I've just found it so like authentic and so refreshingly different. And I would say from my own experience, having gone through it, is that you have to have a little bit, you have to take a little leap into the unknown. Like you have to have a little bit of trust that that's going to be the outcome to it. But then you kind of build that momentum, right?
Yeah, it was so cool because whenever I do a new cohort of people, it's always like the first one is the hardest, the first person that does the dare, you know? And so I remember that morning, I'm like, okay, I've got to be, because I didn't know, this was a different situation. I didn't know you guys before. You hadn't been following my stuff. You just saw me speak and then entered my thing.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to do the dare. I have to show them what this is. But then I don't know if you remember seeing this video, as I'm like doing it, and I'm showing them stuff, all of a sudden I saw you already did it. you were the first one. Yeah, you were the first one. And I was like, oh my gosh, Laura, of course. So anyway.
She's already done it. I've done so many dares now, I can't remember which ones was which, but I was kind of like, tell me what to do and I do it, I implement, and you just sent the email and I did it. Kind of thing.
So good.
And I think, I think it is that kind of, it's getting out of your comfort zone. And I know it's out of different comfort zones for different people. I know that means different things for, but actually the end result that you're teaching and you're training on is actually awesome for business, for your business, and it's awesome for yourself because you're getting this sort of combined world, aren't you, of like attracting really high quality clients that want to be with you, hang out with each other, and you're also hanging out with the people you want to hang out with and servicing the clients you want to service, right? It's like win-win.
Yeah.
Win-win. So we've talked a bit about sort of what you do and how you do it, and I think I confessed on some of the posts that actually I kind of followed Stacey around the event. She was there with her daughter, and I was it's not very English as well to do this. And I was like, I'm like, I want to ask a question. I was sort of following her around and going like, hey, it's me again. I just wanted to get some more information from you while we're in the same room, kind of thing. And I've sort of picked up bits along the way, but it would be really good to kind of hear, how did you get to where you are, and how did you get to the kind of this audience accelerator? What's the kind of backstory on that?
Yeah, so I owned a business for 20 years. It was a brick and mortar business, a staffing company. So it was quite a lot, because when you're dealing with hiring people, and then also I helped companies remove their bottlenecks through staffing, right? Through helping them hire the right people. So I had both sides of it. And then I exited that business and was just thinking of writing a book, and I wanted to originally help people like learn how to just have the belief that they could sell, because that was like my background was door-to-door sales from like college, and that's where I have this belief that money grows on trees once you're like not afraid of talking to people and you can handle rejection. And so that was what the book was going to be. But then it's kind of a long story that I'll tighten up, but I ended up deciding to date after having been divorced for a few years. And I realized that dating was very similar to sales, and not in the way that people will think, like presentation or communication. It was in like dealing with rejection and goal setting and positive thinking. And so I'm like in the middle of my mastermind, and I'm like, I just want to help people. And then all of a sudden it came out, it said, do the thing. I want to help people do the thing. And so I met with the book strategist, and she was asking for my struggle story, of like when I have not done the thing. And she's like, well, you're really going to need that, in order for the book to be good. At that time, I didn't know my stories, because everything was like all bottled up in me from being this like high stress CEO for 20 years and having to like do everything, And so anyway, so I didn't have any stories. So it wasn't going to be a good book. So I started my podcast basically to get people's stories, and I was going to use them for the book. And then that's when I dissected this like formula for what helps people do the thing. And anyway, it's like an acronym. It's I'm game, which we can get into at another time. But it's an acronym that I dissected. And that's when I started building my first community, because I wanted to test the formula to see if it would work. And I started my first challenge, which, that's kind of where everything started, was just from creating a challenge. I did a post in a singles group I was in. I'm like, hey, I've got this fun idea for dares. Anyone want to do it? And then immediately 100 people joined, and I created what was going to be a temporary Facebook group. And then the story kind of like started. Yeah.
And I think people are, I think certainly, I mean, it's life experience, isn't it? I feel like when you've got a lot of stuff that's happened to you, good and bad, people are kind of connected to that, right?
Yes.
And you want to hear about that and relate to that. And one of the things I learned certainly is when you're sort of presenting and talking to people is lots of the struggles that you have, like very privately, are the same struggles that everyone's having. You know, it's quite general, and when people come out and talk about those sort of very personal struggles, I think that's a really good way of connecting, which is why I think people just are quite magnetized towards what you're doing, because you're quite open about it in a non-open private way, if you know what I mean.
I'm so glad you said that, because this is really important for people to know. Is like, we're on YouTube right now, and unfortunately the streams didn't work in all the groups, and I'm seeing so many of you here, so thank you for finding us and like making it happen. But yeah, I wouldn't have been doing this on YouTube a year ago. I was very private still. I was like slowly coming out of my shell, this like repressed, sucked out, shell. And it was a private Facebook group. And there was something so important about that privacy in that group, because it not only helped me kind of like, almost like, when you say something and you could have a vulnerability hangover, it's only with those people that you're like doing it with. So it's still okay. Whereas if it's on YouTube, it's like a different situation, but it got me comfortable talking about stuff. And I don't tell everything, I don't talk about all my stuff, but it's like I talk about at least the things that I think are relevant, that are part of my story, and anyway, as I got more comfortable doing that, then I started to, then all of a sudden I went on YouTube, and then I went on LinkedIn, and it took me like a year, I think, and a half before I was even comfortable doing that. I didn't even turn my camera on video on my I have 80 episodes on my podcast with no video on. It was only audio, and I just wasn't comfortable. So anyway, the point of that is like, you can also meet yourself where you are, because there's so many people that think they have to be on Instagram. They think they have to do all these things, but you could also start in private, and you build an amazing group, and they're happy because they're in private too. And there's something really special about that. Back to the like you don't need a million people. There's something really special about that genuine connection then you get to have with people. So
and I think it's quite refreshing to hear that, because I think the issue is on social media is like everyone's perfect. They show the perfect sides to them all the time. And I love the fact that we can go on your podcast and listen to the first 80 episodes without any video, and that's okay. That's okay. And I think the lesson is like, wherever you're starting from in business, is that you can get used to it, right? And then it becomes it really becomes so easy that you just kind of like, yeah, right, let's do a live, let's do, and there's a process, and there's a few sort of barriers, and get out of your comfort zone and all of that, and all the worries that go on through your head, like, am I going to say the wrong thing, and all of those things, you get over that. So it's nice to see that. And again, I think it's down to connection. It's like admitting, like, I'm not perfect, and I didn't start out doing amazingly, but this is how I broke through all the issues. And I think that's what people come up to you and say, isn't it? Like, I was watching you and you told that story about, that struggle that you're having, and that's what connects them. Vulnerability is what people.
Yeah. And then it's also like not waiting for, like, going back to the imperfect. It's not waiting for things to be perfect, because the person that needs to hear your message, like, doesn't care if you have makeup on, they don't care if like you have a microphone, plugged in, they don't care if your video's on, if they need to hear your message, they need to hear your message. And so none of that stuff matters, And so it's just, I think it's important for people to know that, like, if there's something stopping you from creating your high ticket offer, building your audience, creating conversations. It's just asking yourself the question, like, what can I do that feels good for me? And then maybe just then go like one little micro step outside of that, you know?
Yeah. And I think we've already said, like, for me, what's always important is momentum. Like, it doesn't matter if I take a tiny step, but I have to take, which is why when I got your emails, I'm like, right, do it, you know, because once you have momentum of stuff, that it just makes it much easier. And that's so important. I think we spoke about that. So sort of talking about people who are kind of just starting out and who maybe don't have any audience or a massive audience, maybe they haven't had a business or they're just starting out with their business, you know, what kind of principles, if you sort of said, I'm not going to give you tactics on what to do, but what are the sort of principles that you say like are the important things to focus on when you're just sort of getting going?
Yeah, so this is such a great question. I'm just going to be like, give you guys the simplest answer for this right now. So if you're wanting to, like, let's say for the way that I do my audience building is through community, just because I think it's amazing when someone's connected to me. But what I think is really amazing and why the work really happens is the M in I'm game, the acronym, which is my people, and that's people that are surrounded by a shared goal, and that's where the connection happens. And so there's something about being connected to the person, but then those people that are part of that process. And so with that, the question that you could actually just record on your phone today is just say, you know, if I was going to have people in my community, you know, what kind of space would I want to create for them? Ask yourself that question, say it on the phone, and just talk to yourself like on the phone. Like there's something about recording that is just like really magical. And can they post it in your offer accelerator group? That would be good.
It'd be awesome. Yeah. What kind of space do you want? Because actually thinking about that as a first step, again, before you get further down the line, it just creates such good foundation, isn't it? You're like starting at the imagination level, as we of students of Eileen Wilder would say, you know, you're starting at that imagination level.
Yeah, no, definitely. And like the reason why it's good because you're tapping into like what you want, you know, and the more, and because half the times we don't know what we want. We're just like busy, right? We're like through and like this is happening, and that's happening, and this fire and that fire, and this kid and that kid and whatever it is, right? And it's like all these different things that are happening. And so we're not even aware, but when you can just like stop and just ask yourself, like, what is this space? What will it do for people? Then all of a sudden you're like putting that out there. And that's what kind of gets that momentum back to momentum started, you know?
Yeah, 100%. And I think, as you say, we're all like busy all the time and actually just being able to take that time out. So what about businesses, maybe people who are more established, you know, applying these, you know, what kind of principles or steps would I want to take if I had a more established business? To create this kind of this audience accelerating kind of vibe that you teach.
Yeah. So like if someone's already established and they've already got they already have like a program that they're selling, you know, and they're just wanting more people on that program. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think it's similar in that it's just creating the conversations around that thing, right? And so like that's kind of what I do in my communities that I build is I'm like, what are the people that are joining? What's the common thing that they have, you know, that they're all wanting, right? And whether it's dating, whether it's starting a podcast, whether it's creating a high ticket offer, whatever it is, it's like, what's that thing that we're all going to be bonded together? And then what are those conversations that we can have? So I think it's a really simple thing. It's just creating those conversations that the people are able to then talk about. So then there brings this like aliveness to whatever you're doing, which is going to help you then build your audience. Because what's really cool about that is it's exciting. People join your group, and then the people that are already in there are like loving helping the people that join, right? And so then they're feeling that contribution by helping others, and that's what keeps that going, basically.
And I think you have to get over maybe one of the things that I certainly was thinking in my sort of privately issues was, I was sort of like, I remember hearing you say that, and I was kind of like, that sounds awesome, and I'd love that in my group, and I know you've got that in your group, but what if nobody says anything or does anything? And you kind of have to get past that and take some action and build some momentum, because actually I think once you've got that connection, you know, you're connected, and because of the way you're creating that audience, that connection is already happening as they're coming into the group. They want to share, they want to say stuff, they want to I mean, just seeing people introduce themselves in the Offer Accelerator group, I'm kind of like, it's awesome, I love it. And I'm like, yeah, hi, you know, I'm like, yeah, great. And
Right?
like commenting, because people want, we're all humans, we want to connect.
Yeah.
And it's like a sort of, as you say, it's like a space where you have something in common automatically, right? You already have something in common, and we want each other to succeed. Right. And we're almost like, as the kind of group owner, we're kind of the facilitators, I think, a bit of helping that community succeed, I guess.
Yeah, totally. And it kind of leads into that new thing that I created when I was in Texas, which is the audience incubator, which is like basically like incubating what the conversations are going to be about. You know, so I had this interview the other day with the founder of Podmatch, which was amazing. And I asked my community, like, what do you guys want to know? You know, like, tell me what you want to know. And they had all these questions. And so I pretty much asked him the questions that everyone asked me. And I tell you what, like, I had at least 6 people afterward tell me how good my questions were. And I'm like, they weren't my questions. Like, they weren't even my questions.
You know, insightful questions that were coming, which were coming in. And I think also as a kind of business development tool, as people are coming into your audience and your incubator, you're getting that information straight off. So you might be thinking, I think like I have in my mind what I think everyone needs and wants for kind of high ticket offer creation, and actually stuff that people are saying and getting that feedback in. I'm kind of like, oh, and there's also this, and actually lots of people want to know about audiences. Actually, lots of people want to know what they do with a high ticket offer when they've got it. Lots of people want to talk about having the confidence to sell it, whereas I kind of personally, I'm a bit like you, I didn't do door-to-door selling, but I did selling in, I was like selling stuff from like teenage, like put me anywhere and I want to sell something. That was kind of me. If my mother was here, she'd be like, she'd literally sell the furniture if she could make a few dollars, right? Like, so but I think a lot of people find selling and the process of selling very awkward and uncomfortable. And I think what the sort of audience incubator, audience accelerator premise almost is that that happens sort of automatically, right? It kind of happens automatically because you're creating this community that's incredibly well connected. So you don't need to do all that sort of icky, salesy bits.
It's so cool because like you're not, especially when we talk about your high ticket offer and then you match it with an audience, right? That's being incubated. You're just basically giving them exactly what they want. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Now we mentioned that, or I mentioned up front that you are like the queen of dares. And for me personally, I was like, anyone who sets dares, I'm going to like, because that's totally like hits my personality traits. But there is purpose in your dares. I know that they're there for a reason. So I guess my question is, what kind of dares are you setting, and why is that actually so effective to build the audience? Because it's incredibly powerful, right?
Yeah, and it's so funny because I don't know if you remember, because when we met, it was again different, where the incubator got put into someone else's high ticket offer, right? And so
Yeah.
we hadn't met before, and so I didn't initially even give you guys dares that first week because I was
Yeah.
like, I was kind of nervous, right? Because we didn't even, and then I realized after the first week, I'm like, this isn't going to work. Like if they don't have the dares,
Yeah.
And so then I
Yeah.
asked, I got permission from you guys. I'm like, you're good, right? Okay, great. And then you guys were all in. And the reason why I say that is because I think a lot of people, they like tell you what to do, and sometimes like you might be doing it off of like watching a video or whatever it is, but the dare, it helps you take the action. So like
Mm.
it actually gives you the ability to like do the action. And so there's some dares that are more like clarity dares. It's like a clarity activation tool, kind of like the one I didn't give it as an actual dare, but where I said to post it in the offer accelerator group is the saying what kind of space you'd want to create. But like those kinds of dares that people are doing, and the reason why those work, and you got to feel it, I think too, is you're seeing other people doing it too, right? And
Yeah.
so it's kind of like it gives you this group momentum,
Yeah.
in a way. And then I have action dares. So like, for example, if I'm doing the dating challenge, like they're going to get a dare that's like, go sign up for an event, and say hi to a stranger or something like that, and so then they do that, then they tell us how it went, or for the start a podcast challenge, it was, pick someone from the group and interview them.
Yeah.
I had a go live challenge, which was really fun, where we just people just went live together, on different things, but like
Yeah.
people had never done it before. And so so that's the kind of dare, that
So
it is.
actually what you're doing is you're helping you're helping your audience, your client, your audience to actually take some steps that they might feel resistance to as well, in
Yeah.
a kind of planned sequence that builds that momentum. And and I can speak from my own experience. So we were in the incubator. I think we're still in the incubator, but we were in the incubator. And it was like every day I was like going online, and I was like, what's the, I think we all were, right? We didn't say it, we were secretly saying to, what's the dare today? And then we sort of started off doing the dares and trying to be like, yeah, I'm going to try and be myself. But actually you kind of get the momentum and you start I started posting onto my channels these dares and what I was thinking and saying about all sorts of things, personal, and people respond, right? People respond. And I would, if you'd have told me to do that without the dare, it would have become very premeditated almost. I'd be like, okay, so I'm going to write a personal post. It was like, I'm going to hire a copywriter to write a personal post, and that kind of thing. But actually, by doing the dares, it kind of loosened us up, right? Loosened us up and made us go and do stuff. And we were like,
Totally.
yeah, we want to do the double dare. What's the next dare?
Yeah, it's so funny. And I see Vicky Pools here. I'll shout out her for a minute, because she's been in a lot of my challenges, and something I was working on with your group specifically, because I was trying to figure out how to automate it with your group, because I wasn't ready for it, honestly. And so I'm like, how do I automate it? And so she had a conversation with me, because she's in the accelerator program, and I was like, I need to have people know that they can invite people like quickly, but then still do the dare, and I also don't want them to think that they're going to do a dare out of the thing I'm having you record, because then it's going to, like you said, it's going to like trap you almost. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so that her idea was the double dare, and it was like so good, because now it's like you get to do the dare. And for you guys, I hope you're tracking, I see a lot of you kind of know the stuff, but like pretty much do the dare, which is record the video or go live or whatever, and then you get the double dare, and it's like, okay, now post it.
Now you've done it, you've got to post it. And I think, and again, from my experience, like I've done lots of presenting, so I kind of like, I know how to present all of that stuff. And my dares were kind of more natural. They were more natural. And if you hadn't have dared me, I would have written the content, and then I could have presented the content, because I've had a lot of practice to do that.
Yeah.
And I've had practice to make it sound really natural as well. But actually, by doing the dares, it was like, right, go walk around and record yourself. And I think they started out, and I was like making sure the shot looked good and I looked good and all of that stuff. And then I think I got like dare number 8. I think I recorded myself walking down the river near where I live in London. Half my face wasn't on camera. I didn't have any makeup on. My hair was like everywhere. And I was just like, I've ever posted anything like that on the internet. But the dare kind of momentum to kind of takes you out of that. And I really think that appeals to people, that you're not perfect, and it isn't perfect. And it's really natural, isn't it?
Yeah, and going back to audience building with that too, it's like finding, everyone thinks like they have to just always teach stuff, right? To like, and it's just finding like what would make it fun for the people that are in your world to do, you know? And so like I was listening, one of our, the people in the Audience Accelerator, Jamie, Lux Every Day is her group. And she did this fun game. She had a community gathering today, and she does this fun game where they ended up doing something in the chat, and like each step was like leading to another step and then another step. And like, how fun is that, right? So it's like, it doesn't have to be a dare. It could be a game. It could be, Vicky's doing improv right now with her community. Anyway, there's just like so many different ways that you guys can take it. And it doesn't have to be this like straight in the box kind of thing. And then for those of you that are doing the high ticket offer, then once you actually, you know, decide what that, you go to Laura's masterclass, you're like, okay, I'm going to create my high ticket offer. Now all the people that have been a part of your community based on that common goal that you guys want, you know, you're then able to create that offer around it. And then that's where they sign up. You know,
it's so natural as well. Like creating the high ticket offers is like so easy to do once you've got that connection and you've got that relationship with people. And it funnily enough, it makes me think of where I was saying earlier to Stacey that I've been training for like 5 hours in real life, like in like face to face. And actually, originally I come from the corporate world, where everyone is straight and suits and, you know, don't show any emotion kind of thing. And actually, when I go and having escaped that world, going out to, you know, having fun, actually, I'm just like setting the sort of tone of like, let's just have fun and see where we get to and connect. It's so refreshingly different. And I think if you can build your business around having fun and servicing people that you want to hang out with, then isn't that an awesome way to live? kind of thing, right?
Highlighting Wendy's comment, you know, it is the group who is drawn to you. Your idea of fun will also resonate with them too, right? Because it doesn't have to be the same thing. It's different for everyone, you know, and it's so true.
I also wanted to shout out to there's someone, Shuggy, I want to say Shuggy Crush,
Janet,
who's like posted, today I'm hosting my first podcast interview.
Congratulations. I love that. It's so
that
good.
was a dare, awesome. And if that wasn't a dare, that's a good dare to have as well. And, you know, just getting over that next step is like what the dares are all about, right?
Yeah. And it's like they're like a micro step, so they compound over time is like what is where it happens. So you don't even, sometimes you don't, like, it's so fun. I love this when I'm like, I talk to someone and I'm like, okay, yeah, you know, we'll start, because I think starting a podcast is part of Audience Accelerator, you know, pretty much. And I'm like, well, while you're in the program, we should also get your podcast started, you know, and the typical response is like, no, you know, I'm not doing it. Or when they joined, I have a Find Your Voice challenge, or when they join that, it's like, no. And then, but because they're like micro steps, you know, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's so natural for now the podcast to start because I'm just talking to people. That's it, right? And so, yeah, it's great.
Just having natural conversations.
Right? Yeah, I imagine you guys have mindset stuff you're going through too, with taking someone from, if they've sold a low ticket offer to a high ticket offer.
Yeah. that's like I think that's one of the biggest shifts that people make. And it depending on where you come in. So most people, especially coaches and consultants, come from the world of this is my rate, this is my hourly rate, this is you can have 10 packages, 10 sessions for this blah 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 rate, and they're coming in at that. I would call that kind of $200 an hour a low ticket, right? A low ticket. And the shift that people have to make, and when I sort of have conversations with people one-on-one or in the masterclass or anything, the shift that they have to make is shifting to what result do I deliver?
Mm-hmm.
What results do I deliver?
Mm-hmm.
And then the next step, and how valuable is that result? Because if that result is really, really valuable, I always give the example of, I had another business in my previous life where I helped people get promoted. I noticed it again. It's kind of like, funnily enough, going through your system, I'm like, oh, duh, I've been helping people do the same thing. I've just been helping them do it in different contexts. Yes. And one of the things that I used to sell was helping people get promoted. And one of my clients, I think she was earning something like 150,000, like the whole package was $150,000, which is a lot for lots of people, but it's in the tech industry, and it was, it was okay, but it wasn't as much as she should have been earning. And so I give her the skills, the tool, the system to go in and ask for that promotion, because without me, she'd spent all that time going, I should be paid more and I should be promoted. Why aren't I, but never did anything about it. Right.
Yeah.
And I gave her the system to go in and confidently and ask in the right way. And in like 3 months, she literally doubled her package, right? Wow. So she had like a massive, she was actually being underpaid. So there was lots of negotiation room in there, but she doubled her salary. And so over a year, and again, easy maths, she made something like 100, let's just say 100,000, because it's been a long day. I can't only do hundreds. I can only count in hundreds of thousands. Let's say in a year she got 100,000 extra, and so over 10 years she would have made $1 million if she didn't get any more extra salary increase, right? So let's say in 10 years the value of the result and the system that I gave her was worth $1 million. Guess how much I charged her? $5,000.
That is so huge. So huge.
I charged her I tell you why I charged her $5,000, because I charged her $500 for 10 sessions. That's what I charged her.
Yeah.
And at the time I was like, and I wasn't resentful. I was just like, hey, that's awesome. And awesome. Yeah. It works so bloody well, right? Gosh, it works so well. And actually, I'm not getting paid. Well, my offer doesn't relate back to the value I'm adding in the world. And there's lots of reasons to, have high ticket offers. But I think that's one of the big realizations, to go back to your question. One of the big realizations is people are like, oh, there is so much value that I am bringing into my clients and giving people. And I just got to shift out of that coaching consultancy world and into this value results driven kind of world that we're fortunate to live in right now.
Yeah. And what's incredible too, like hearing you say that, it's like, I feel like it was Eileen that said this with what is it costing the person to not have your offer, right? And it's like, it would have cost her $1 million or $999,000.
Well, that's similar maths, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. Like every single person on this live right now, and anyone that's watching the replay, like you have that like inside of you. And what Laura mentioned was you don't realize like all the skills that you've built in your life until you're able to connect the dots,
Yeah.
you know, through it, right? Like I didn't remember. The reason why I'm so good at audience building is because I have a recruiting background. I thought it was because of my sales background, but it's actually because of my recruiting background, you know, because it was like I have that kind of mindset that gets me to think in a whole weird different way, you know. And everyone has that, like whatever it is, you know, like you talked about what, you know, by helping people get promoted. And I know you've been a project manager before, like all these things that you've like helped people do. Now it's like you're tucking it into what you're doing now. And we all have that, whatever it is. Like it's just whatever that life experience was, there's some kind of through line of like, oh my gosh, I've been doing this my whole life, you know?
Yeah. And it's fascinating, and I've sort of experienced it recently. Is like you're kind of like, and you like you're like connect. This is going to connect the dots up, and we're like, yeah, it's going to connect the dots up. But actually, it really does, and you kind of go through this sort of whole. It's so obvious when I look back, you know, because I've done all these different things. We have different. You know, I mean, I started my life out as a software engineer of all things, right? A
Yeah.
long time ago. But actually, when I look at what I've done, I've done a similar skill applied in a different way, and that's the connection you've got to make, right? And then that's how you connect to the audience, and and I use the word again because I think it is how I think it's just that magnetic attraction that brings people towards you, which is and it's that relationship building.
And it also connects you when you connect those dots. It connects you to your purpose. I just had a podcast interview the other day where I hadn't connected it together yet. Everything that's in common with everything that I'm doing, because I don't just do audience building. That's one thing, right? But everything in common that is in common is connection. Like if I think of my sales job, what I liked about it was I got to when I'm talking about door to door, I liked meeting the moms and the dads and like having that like conversation with people that cared about their kids' education. Like I loved that. You know, I had this suit job that I had right after college where I got to go to people's offices and help them do suits. And I loved getting to meet people and like break down the walls of like, it was my first time being around wealthy people. I got to break down the walls of like what that was like, you know, and I loved that connection. Anyway, I can go back through, but that's like the common thing. And that's my life's work. My life's work is like helping people, you know, connect together. Yeah. And so it's just interesting when you're able to like kind of look at your life in that way. And it's really is connecting the dots to kind of like find whether it's your audience, your life's purpose, all of it's like comes together, you know?
It's so obvious, but it isn't at the time, right?
Yeah.
And I also think, like, again, we're at an age where we've been around the block a bit. We've been around the block a few times, and I think I find almost it gives me it gives me energy because it makes more sense. The whole sequence of stuff, I'm kind of like, oh, it makes so much sense now, and I'm really clear how I can help people, and I'm really clear at what I'm good at. And you know, we kind of think, oh, I'm good at that, and I want to focus on. But actually, some of the things that you don't realize that people really benefit from you, it's like so obvious. It's right there in front of you. And when you start connecting those dots up, you start realizing the kind of impact that you've also had, which I think is also sort of helpful when you're building up connections because you see the themes running through, right? There are themes of life running through everything you do, which is awesome. And you know, and creating this community of people, of like-minded people who are attracted to that message is like awesome.
It's so true. Yeah. And that's where you're able to then monetize it also. And it's not like, but it's coming from what I had to overcome a lot for this, but like, cause I really do like helping people for free. Like I love doing that. Yeah. But what I realized is when you are able to do a high ticket offer, then you're able to create an even more intimate space with people, you know, and it's so cool because then the impact and the result they get is like life changing, like nothing you've ever seen before. And so that's what I love about what you're doing, because I think it's really important for people to understand that by changing, whether you're doing low ticket now or you're not doing this or whatever it is, but by creating a high ticket offer, like it's coming from like the deepest place that you're able to serve people, honestly. Like you said, like that woman wouldn't have made the $1 million, you know, had you charged her $5,000, you know?
Yeah. I should have put a commission in that back end of that. But also, and you touch on a good point that, and it's something we all know about how, well, we know from the kind of Eileen Wilder sort of training that we've done is actually a lot of the reason to have that is about commitment from the person investing. And we have had in our business, Krista and I, we've sort of, in the same way, here's an offer, get on board, let's do it, let's build momentum and everything. But actually, low ticket means that they're not committed, and it's about the commitment that they make to themselves and that transition that you go through when you invest in high ticket. It's like that commitment is almost like the most valuable thing you've got, right? Because you're like, I am going to commit to this 100. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I'm going to invest in myself, and this is the direction that I want to go in. And I think that is, if that's like, it's at one of the top levels of service you can help people with. So shifting that, I need to do things for free, to I want to give people that, like, I want to give them that service. And then once you've had that experience, because it is transformational, once you invest in high ticket, once you invest in yourself, once you say that you're like worth it, when people are paying you high ticket for your service, you can just you can give them so much value, can't you? There's so much you can bring.
We have I'd love to see your response to this. Vicky said, I sometimes get stuck because I want to make things available to many because I have needed low ticket so many times.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, so I think the world is full of lots of high ticket buyers. And I think once you make that kind of mental jump that there is, and it's funny, you talked about being around money, being around people with money, right? And I think it's a really good lesson in life. I actually worked in the finance industry, and I remember when I'd always worked with clients in the finance industry, but I actually went and actually worked in the finance industry. And one of the things it taught me back then is I was like, there's so much money in the world.
Money.
Right? It's like that whole abundancy thing. I've totally, because I was like literally working in the city of London. There's so much money. Like, if my company that owns 2 floors on this building is doing X billion, and then there's all that other, there's so much money, right, in there. And I think that once you get used to that, then that is cool. Now, that doesn't mean to say that everybody in the world can afford to invest in high ticket, but I don't think you should dismiss anybody. And again, there's a whole argument about if people invest in high ticket, they'll find a way to invest. But I think, to answer the question, there are other ways people can engage with you, right?
Love that. So
there
true.
are other ways people can engage, so they can get on the lives with you. They can do the master classes with us. The stuff that we're going through in the masterclass, the principles are the same. They're just delivered in a different way and in a maybe a slightly less detailed way, but in a way that people can take action and start building the momentum that they need to build. But I think that transition that you need to go through as a human, as a business owner, as someone who creates an audience, you want people to come in at the high end if possible and just give enable people to get to that point, because when they're really engaged, I'm like, I want to be, you know, at that place where I can invest in that high ticket offer. I want that experience. So it's about giving people like a step up to that as well.
Yeah, it's like it's great because, well, you guys have your masterclass coming up, and is that
Thursday?
And it's free, right? Or do you have a charge for it?
Yeah. So yeah, you can turn up to that for free, and masterclass goes for 3 or 4 hours, right? And you can walk away from that masterclass with all the tools that you need to go and do high ticket. And you know, and so you can engage with us and come to that masterclass for free and have that experience.
Yeah. And that's what I love is that, like, so there's some people, and I like that with the Facebook group too. I like having a free Facebook group available. I like having a free masterclass. So everyone's able to come. They're all able to join. They're all able to get the experience, the value, and all that. And then there's like a small percentage of people that are like, I want more. Like, you know, I want my handheld or whatever. And then those are the people that pay. And I love that whole philosophy, because I think you're then giving access to everyone, you know, to have the transformation. And just some people want more of the hand holding or the intimate experience of it.
I think also people are, and again, I don't like to think about it as can you afford it, or, you know, some people can't. I think you find a way. You find a way if it's right for you. But sometimes when you come into, you know, the masterclass is such a good way to have that experience, to start getting it. Because it's like, I remember like sort of coming to, it's like there's so much and you're like, you know, fire hose, and I'm like, oh my God, I just know I need one of these. I have no idea how to do it, and things like, and you kind of have to sometimes you can jump straight in and you're like, yes, I'm going to write the check now, or not write the check. I'm going to send the money now and go straight in. I want to go in the high ticket. Sometimes you need to have that experience, and sometimes that repetition of experience to really take, you know, the next step. And I think the masterclass and the Facebook group and the lives and all of that is, I think it does two things. You can kind of build that connection and make sure you're in the right room, because, you know, you want to be hanging out in the right room. And also it helps you get that knowledge and experience and sort of transformation you need to do the next dare in your terms.
Ooh,
like
the
next I like to think of it as a dare, but maybe that's not a good thing.
Oh, and then people are asking for the link to that. Do you have a link for the master? And Wendy's asking.
So the masterclass is this Thursday, and it is the 6th of June. The link to the masterclass is actually offeracceleratorlive.com. So go there. You can get your place there and get all the details there. I'm going to try and remember the time, because I'll have to go backwards. So it's 5:30 in the UK, which means it is 12:30 EST, which means it is 9:30 West Coast.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. So it's this Thursday, and we're going to be doing exactly that, high ticket offers, and really helping people go from maybe low ticket to how do you get to high ticket, and why should you be, you know, selling high ticket, and doing it we like to say, creating elegant high ticket. So again, I think this is where you and I, you know, that get rid of that sleazy, salesy stuff and be able to create really, I always like to think, and I know that we've heard, like Jackie said this once, and I think about this as well, like, I want to buy my high ticket offer, right? When you want to buy your own high ticket offer, you've got a good offer, and sort of being able to create these amazing experiences for your clients. So we're going to be talking about elegant high ticket offers and how to authentically pitch those offers, which I think is the next step. So being able to do that in a way that is very authentic and not salesy and sleazy. And then the next step, which is where you come in, Stacey, is that kind of being able to sell and scale those offers with the audience you want to connect with. So if you want to come and check out the masterclass, it's on the 6th of June at 5:30, 12:30, 9:30. And that's good. And that, it'd be great to see everyone there. And just for people who are wanting to find a bit more about you, because this is also about you as well as me.
I'm so excited because I'm like your biggest cheerleader, because like I just have seen the need, especially even in my program. Like that's where I'm like, I can help you with your offer. Like you've got to, like the audience is gonna, like, create it. Yeah, like you're gonna like. So I'm always looking for resources and people that can help with that piece. And like even the other day, I'm like, okay, I guess worst case, someone can build their audience, and then have an affiliate offer, which is cool. So, that's like a starting point, but having their own offer is obviously great, because that's where you're able to have the most impact, because it's on your own thing. So yeah, it's a huge benefit to my audience to go, because that's something that really helps, especially relational marketing that I teach, because then you don't need 1,000 people if you have a high ticket offer. That's kind of like the other missing piece, or be something replenishable or whatever, like something, it's either high ticket or not some one-off thing, kind of what I mean. Yeah.
It's results, isn't it? Yeah. It's getting the result. That's what it's all about, is delivering a result, delivering a service. And as you say, which is why we're having this conversation anyway. And I think that's why I followed you around the room in Houston.
I love it. I love it.
So yeah, it's been awesome. So if you want to join us on Thursday, go to offeracceleratorlive.com. If you want to find out more about Stacey, because she's also awesome, and you want to find more about the dares and all that stuff, then I think the best place to find you is Do the Thing? What's the best place to find you?
I think right now the thing I'm most excited about is my new Facebook community. It's called Do the Thing Collaboration.com. Do the Thing Collaboration.com. That's where it's a collaboration group where I like doing all these kinds of things. So awesome. There you go. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure I'll be there. And thank you so much for your time today. It's been great chatting. I'm sure we'll chat again soon and do lots of collaboration.
Oh, yeah. Tomorrow we're doing that expert panel.
Yes.
Tomorrow. Yeah. We're chatting tomorrow about something different.
Which I just have to show up. So you'll have to tell everyone what that is. But we're doing aren't we? Something.
Yeah, it's like breakthrough to success strategies. There's going to be like 7 of us. It's going to be amazing. We're just doing an expert panel, and just because we're all in the middle of these big things that we're doing, so we thought it'd be fun to come alive in that space. So that's at 1:00 Pacific Standard Time. I don't know what time in the UK that is, but
I think it's like 9. It's about 9 o'clock, because I'm kind of like, if it goes on really late, I'm going to be like rolling into my Thursday, and then it'll be but I'm kind of like, I think it's good for me to sleep at lunchtimes. That's my
oh my gosh.
Okay. So see you very soon. See you tomorrow, and thanks so much.
Thank you.